And we're off. I have to do it. It's been requested. There's no choice. It is the day after the Miami Dolphins won their fourth consecutive game, dominating the New York Jets by the score of 34-10. And to discuss everything we saw, everything we're going to see, and predict the future like the amazing Kreskin. No, we won't. We'll just ramble as we always do. Chris Perkins from the South Florida Sun Sentinel joins me once again after a fun-filled weekend in New York, where he managed to squeeze in a little bit of football reporting while he was there. Perk, how are you?
I'm good. I mean, these Dolphins, they're the story of the town, right? Well, along with and Inter Miami, but they're the story of the town. The story of the town, right?
They're number 3, but at least they're in top 3 right now.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm not so optimistic about their postseason hopes, but we'll get to that later.
We will get to that later. We will get to the breaking news of the day, which is, as kind of suspected, the Dolphins' Week 16 game against the Cincinnati Bengals has been flexed out, as in get the hell out of here, from the Sunday night slot. Yes, and Perk and I going, yes. This is good news, especially for us older folk in the media. Do not like primetime games. It is not going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time, replaced by the New England at Baltimore game, which fully understand. And these decisions, by the way, folks, are made purely for ratings purposes. They're not necessarily looking for the best matchup, because I would make the argument if the NFL wanted the best matchup for that night, and it wasn't. There's also rules in terms of matchups being protected by a network, such as Pittsburgh is playing at Detroit at 4:25 in Week 16. It's a game that CBS has as the national doubleheader, and don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say CBS said, we want that game. You're not moving it, because the Steelers are ratings gold, which is why it wasn't moving off the Dolphins-Pittsburgh game. That's why it wasn't moving off Monday Night Football. New England has had a good drawing in the past, especially during the Tom Brady era. Now they're back on the upswing. Baltimore has a good national draw. The best game that weekend very well might be, in terms of what it means, dare I say it, Tampa Bay, Carolina, who will go into Week 15 tied in the NFC South with a 7-6 record. Be that as it may, we don't care about the other games. Dolphins move to 1 p.m. So that is the good news. I guess the other big news, two other items of news. Andrew Meyer heading back to practice this week, and he's already been designated to return, so he won't count against the limit of 8. I think the Dolphins are at 4, maybe. I think 5, perhaps 4. Okay. And as I wrote on MiamiDolphins.si.com, who would have ever predicted that's like Andrew Meyer's coming back, and it's like, the Dolphins even going to activate him? Who's he going to replace?
I mean, they got a logjam. Yeah, they have a logjam. They have enough interior offensive linemen. And you never thought you would say that in this era of offensive line, but
without James Daniels on top of everything,
right? And without James Daniels, without Liam Eichenberg, they've got enough. Nice job by Chris. Oh, sorry, we can't mention that name.
Can't say that. No, it's not allowed.
That's right. Right. Nice job by the organization. It is a surprise that they have enough interior offensive linemen. But here we are with Aaron Brewer starting, James Daniels and Cole Strange at the guards, and then you do have
Jonah Savannah.
I mean, Jonah. Wow, sometimes yes, Jonah
Apple for a weekend.
Right, exactly. Jonah and Cole Strange at the guards. And you lost James Daniels. You don't need him back, because Daniel Brunskill can play interior offensive line for you. In a pinch, Keon Smith could play interior offensive line for you. I know Cole Strange can play center for you. So I think the Keon, his interior offensive line skills might have been a factor in him being activated and Kendall Lamb being deactivated last weekend. Perhaps.
I have a theory on that.
Okay.
My theory is the Dolphins weren't sure about Aaron Brewer until Sunday morning. It was going to be a game time decision or warm-up decision, and then they didn't want to take the chance because the deadline to elevate a player from the practice squad is 4 p.m. on Saturday.
Right.
So the Dolphins didn't want to not elevate Keon Smith and take the chance of Brewer, not being able to go, which would have left them with 7 offensive linemen, which is not the MO. The MO is always 8 offensive linemen. And once they made the move to elevate Keon Smith, then it was like, I didn't say, I forgot to look at the game book in terms of the snap count. He played 2 snaps. The Dolphins used their backup offensive line at the end of the game, so he got some snaps there, but they're not significant snaps. He plays a handful of snaps on special teams when he was active, when he was on the active roster earlier in the season, and it's the same with Kendall Lamb. It was not a very consequential move in terms of the offense. So that's my theory.
Yeah, I thought they needed Keon in case Brewer went out and you had to move Cole Strange to center and Brunskill to guard, and then Keon could play a backup guard position. And you had your backup Larry Borum is a swing tackle in essence. So that's what I thought. But anyway, we're getting bogged down in minutia. Because Keon Smith, with all due respect to Keon.
Yeah, no, we love doing that. Keon Smith, of course, who was one of the 2 players the Dolphins waived when they activated Austin Jackson, Darren Waller before the New Orleans game. Hayden Rucci wound up being claimed off waivers by Detroit. The Dolphins re-signed Keon Smith to the practice squad. The only thing I can think of if the Dolphins do decide to activate Andrew Meyer is maybe they wind up waiving Kendall Lamb, re-sign him to the practice squad and elevate him if they need him. Do that. I don't think he's played a snap on offense the entire year. That would be my guess. Or it could be that they'll do the 3 weeks of practice with Meyer and say, no, you're good. Just finish the season on IR. A lot of it also depends whether the Dolphins can move themselves further into the playoff picture. The other big news is the status of running back Devon Achane, who Mike McDaniel indicated did not break a rib, got injured falling on the ball. May need some rest and treatment during the week, but still looks like he's going to be a go for next Monday night against the Steelers.
And that's obviously good news because this has become a running team. Achane had 3 consecutive games of 120 yards or more rushing before the 7 for 92 effort in 2 quarters on Sunday. He was definitely headed for a 3rd straight game of 120 yards or more.
Bold statement there, Perk.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm going out on a limb there. He probably, Jalen Wright got 107. We could say Achane might have rushed for 200. Yeah. But be that as it may, that's good news about Achane, especially for him being in a contract year, that this is not a multi-week injury that they could hold against him. So a contract year, he's eligible for an extension. I shouldn't say a contract year.
Correct. It's a good point. The other part of it, too, is it was pretty eye-opening second half. And I know that the way the game had unfolded played a part in it, and the Jets were dealing with some dispirited players along the defensive line. But the success that Jalen Wright had in Achane's place in the second half with some massive holes up front, like crazy, which was like really, really impressive. There was one drive, I think it was the final touchdown drive, where it's like the first 4 plays, it's like 9, 7, 11, and 11. I mean, dang. I mean,
this offensive line is really well suited for run blocking. And I guess some people could have suspected that, but we never knew because we didn't see it for a prolonged period of time. They would always go back to the passing game and find Tyreek or go to the dink and dunk in the case of last season. Sticking with the run has turned out to be a great thing on a lot of fronts, right? For the running backs, for the running back depth, taking pressure off of Tua, play calling, offensive line, time of possession, game control, all kinds of things. This has turned into a good thing. And so, Achane's health is right at the top of the list for this.
No question. And the other part of it, I mentioned this last week. I'm going to say it again. Guess what? Dolphins never trailed against the Jets. That's now 6 wins. In those 6 wins, they have trailed, I don't know the exact amount of time, but they have trailed exactly 1 time. It was 13-6 against Washington.
Yep.
They
Very
have
nice.
never
Very
failed.
nice
That,
job.
that makes a big difference. And then Mike McDaniel, and you asked a question today of like, what was the genesis of switching to a run-oriented offense? Props to you for mentioning, was it the Tyreek injury or just a realization that that was the way to go? Tyreek injury.
Yes, I agree.
Which is not something Mike McDaniel is going to say. This is,
No.
again, guys, you have to understand how the game is played. And this is the danger. I don't say the danger, but it comes when you make a move, you give up a ton of draft picks for a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, and you pay him all that money, then you extend them, then you guarantee him more money. You can't ask him to play a complementary role and just, at the risk of being rude, be Nick Westbrook-Akine. You just can't. And on top of that, then the other guy who gets extension on the other side is Jalen Waddle, and then it's Tua. Those are your three highest paid players. It's kind of weird, even though that's not to say it wouldn't have been the right thing, but it's kind of weird to have a run-oriented offense if that's your financial structure.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the players that got those extensions, and you just mentioned Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle, and then Jalen Ramsey, who the Dolphins will oppose this week, got an extension, and none of them are key factors in the success of this running offense. Now, definitely you need Tua and you need Jalen Waddle out there.
Do you?
I mean, you've got to have some kind of threat of a pass out there. But be that as it may, they are not the key factors in the success of the running offense. None of them are. And so it's just a bizarre situation where, you gave out these contract extensions and none of these guys are playing key roles in this 4-game winning streak and the stretch of five out of 6.
Yeah, and it was that the formula the Dolphins used before, when the emphasis was on that high-flying passing game, it did produce some results. It's not that the Dolphins were a crappy team, but it had a ceiling, and it also reduced the margin for error. When you run the ball the way they're running, and McDaniel made that point on Monday, that plays a role in the fact that there are fewer turnovers. And even at that, this is not a shot at the quarterback, but he looked an awful lot during a time on Sunday where he was trying really hard to throw a pick. It didn't work because the Jets don't get interceptions, but seemed like he was trying. There were a couple of throws like that swing pass inside the 5-yard line was some kind of ugly, and there was a little swing pass on the other side was it to Jalen Wright maybe?
Yep, Jalen Wright.
That came close to getting picked off for an easy second. That was the only way that the Jets were going to threaten because their offense was not good.
Yeah, that was a terrible Jets team. And the good thing, Poop, is that the Dolphins did with that terrible Jets team what you should do. Put them away. Don't give them any hope. You were playing with the backup quarterback after Tyrod Taylor goes out with the groin injury, so now Brady Cook is in there, and they did what they should have done. They intercepted him twice. They had 3 interceptions on the day. They won the turnover battle 3-0. The Dolphins in turnovers are now -1, tied for 15th in the league. They were -8 6 weeks ago, so they've gone -7 in the last 6 games, and you see the result, right? The 4-game winning streak, and Tua's role in the offense has been minimized, but who cares because you're winning, and like running the ball and reducing the turnovers and producing turnovers. This has been a winning formula for this team, and you wonder why they couldn't have found this out in previous seasons or earlier this year, but we are where we are.
I think because they made the financial commitment to those guys, and they kind of that's the role that they took. And you mentioned Tua playing a complementary role. He hasn't reached 200 yards in any game during this winning streak. And it doesn't matter. And it's perfectly fine. Even if that continues into next year, the only thing that's not ideal is you're spending a hell of a lot of cap space on a quarterback. And there are a lot of guys who could do that particular job. But again, I'm not going to quibble. The Dolphins are now 6-7. They're tied. They're tied with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
I mean,
incredible. Incredible. I know. And I'm more surprised with Kansas City than Baltimore. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Baltimore, even after they came here and waxed the Dolphins and Lamar Jackson had the 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. I was just looking at that Baltimore team going, I just don't see a whole lot here as far as, wanting to get to a Super Bowl. Kansas City could be out of the way, and now we'll see what Josh Allen and Sean McDermott and that crew up in Buffalo can do, because the hurdles that had been in your way in previous years are now gone. And that's no disrespect to Denver or Jacksonville or the Chargers or anybody else at New England who is up there in the AFC. But boy, Josh Allen, if you can't get it done this year, and Sean McDermott, there's going to be even more questions for McDermott. Josh Allen is set, but for Sean McDermott, there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot more questions.
Yeah, but we're not allowed to praise Josh Allen. Remember the rule?
Right, we're not Tua. Yeah, we're not. Yeah,
exactly. No, but this could be their year, because and I'll get back to the Dolphins, I promise. The Bills have been tremendous in December, the last like 4 or 5 years. Keep that in mind. And again, you mentioned the team. For the Dolphins now, they began the weekend in 11th place in the AFC standings. They're tied for 9th. They had 4 teams to pass. And if I'm a Dolphins fan, I am looking at the teams that I think are the most vulnerable, regardless of record. Obviously, it's the 2 teams they're tied with, Kansas City and Baltimore. Then I'm looking at the Indianapolis Colts, who are 8-5, have a bear of a remaining schedule. It's Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, and Houston. Good luck. And now, because if it's not bad enough that Daniel Jones is out for the year with an Achilles tear, their backup quarterback, who would be an issue regardless, Riley Leonard's got a knee injury. So now they're looking at Brett Rippon or scraping somebody else off somebody's practice squad.
It is rough. I mean, we remember the Dolphins, starting out 8-3 and 9-3 and being hit with injuries. Welcome to the club, Indy.
They were 7-1.
Yep.
And
incredible.
7-1, and they had Kansas City on the ropes. They were up 20-9.
Yep.
And they let them off the hook. And you want to crown them? You go ahead and crown their ass.
My favorite rant, baby, Denny Green.
You like that rant? See, I don't like.
That is my favorite.
To me, it felt so forced. Like he pumped himself. There are other rants that I like better. Like the Allen Iverson rant to me is funny.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's too funny too also, because that guy, I don't know if there's any player in the NBA who played harder than the dude in games.
Right, in games.
Okay, so there's an issue in practice. So that's one team, and then the other team is the aforementioned Chargers, because I'm looking at Jacksonville's 9-4, and they have 2 soft games remaining, including the Jets, and they have another one, that Tennessee.
Yeah.
So good luck them not getting to 11 wins. If you're looking at Buffalo, they have Cleveland, I believe. Yeah, they have Cleveland, and they have the Jets, I want to say. They're getting to 11 wins. So forget about those 2 teams. And then Denver, obviously, New England, you forget the AFC North champion. You forget Houston is just playing ridiculous, and that defense is pretty damn good. So that leaves one spot for the Dolphins to realistically have a shot at, and then that leaves the Chargers. And the game, their ending schedule is not easy. It's Philly on Monday night. They got at Kansas City, at Dallas, Houston at home, and then at Denver. So that's a team that could go on a slide toward the end of the year. Not forgetting the fact that their quarterback is playing. If he plays tonight, I'm not sure if he's going to play with broken bones in his non-throwing hand. So those are the 2 teams I keep an eye on if I'm a Dolphins. I'm not even dismissing the possibility that 9-8 could get injured in the playoffs. I've said this before. I was been shot down many times. So go ahead, Perk, shoot me down again. Go ahead, tell me 9-8 is not going to do it.
I don't think 9-8 is going to do it. I think that it would have to be tragic for 3 teams. Just a big ugly collapse for them to. And the Dolphins
2 plus KC and Baltimore. KC and Baltimore are 6-7.
Yes.
Ones.
Yes.
Indy and the Chargers.
But I'm thinking your 8th loss probably knocks you out, because somebody is going to get hot. That's what I think. But we'll see.
No,
I mean, and the Dolphins now, as tiebreakers go, are the Dolphins 3-6 in the conference? Do I have that correct?
Yeah.
They don't lose. They lose the tiebreaker to the Chargers, to the Ravens, because of head-to-head, right?
Well, but if there's more than two teams involved, then it's got to be a sweep. Otherwise, you go to
Right.
conference record.
Right.
The Dolphins do not have a very good conference record, which is going to hurt. The Chargers have a very good conference record on top of everything else. But if the Dolphins say run the table, can't believe I'm even saying that. But
Right.
if
Yes.
and if then their conference record, which right now is what 2-6 would no 3-6.
I think 3-6. Yeah.
Would get to 6-6. So
Yep.
And the game's coming up. I think you and I both said all along the true barometer of where this Dolphins team is. It's obviously much better than we're at 2-6. We still don't know exactly how good it is and whether it matches up to or reaches playoff caliber team. We're gonna know a hell of a lot more next Monday night when they play at Acrisure Stadium.
Yep, I agree. And you know what I've been saying, Poop, is that for Mike McDaniel, I want to see him and his teams do things that we have not seen from them before. So, like they did on Sunday, you need to win in cold weather, which I discount that whole cold weather myth, but you need to go on the road and win in December. You need to be able to beat playoff caliber teams, which is going to be Pittsburgh, Tampa, and New England. And you've got to be able to find whatever is effective. And I think they've done that with the run game and the big play defense, the defense that produces turnovers. So you've got a way to win with the run game and the defense that produces turnovers. Now let's see if you can win in December, win on the road, and beat playoff caliber teams. And even if you don't make the playoffs, that will impress me enough because, Poop, I'm a guy who said they should take a broom to the whole organization. So Greer, McDaniel, Tua, if you finish 9-8, 10-7, but you've checked some of those boxes, okay, I'm more encouraged because one thing that I wanted to see from Mike McDaniel is do something different. What you had been doing before, Tua to Tyreek, was not working. This is a forced change, but you've made the change. It's an effective change, and hopefully you will stick with this change next season if you're here next season, and it certainly looks like Mike McDaniel will be here along with Tua. So hopefully they stick with this change. And if I see or hear that he is going to do that, well, then now I'm more encouraged about Mike McDaniel coming back. But I would not want to see Mike McDaniel come back with Tua and them, saying, all right, now we're going to do with Jalen Waddle what we were trying to do with Tyreek. That would be very disappointing.
No, I agree with you. It's like they have found a winning formula.
Yes.
Logically, even if the season does not end in a playoff spot, as you mentioned, build off of that. And this is where I can certainly see Stephen Ross. That would be the selling point for him to the fans. See what happened when we pivoted to Mike McDaniel's creativity and genius in the running game and emphasize that and see the results it produced. Just see how it unfolds over a full season. The flip side to that, of course, is you started 2-6 each of the last two seasons, which is not great, or 2-7 even this year. So we shall see where that goes. Anything else stand out to you defensively? Rasul Douglas, man. By the way, a hat tip when we talk about the offensive line. I meant to do this, and like Aaron Brewer. I mean, damn, that guy's having a season.
He's a beast. He is an athletic beast. I mean, you see this guy really finishing off blocks. And if I'm not mistaken, he had neck, knee, ankle concerns, right? He was questionable coming into the game, as we discussed before. So nice job there. I'll say this about defensively, which you talked about, you mentioned there. This was one of the better games for the front seven. And not, they had the 6 sacks. Zach Sealer had 2.5, but the run defense was effective. They shut down Breece Hall. They had been very good against Breece Hall. I saw coming into the game, he had only averaged 55 yards a game against the Dolphins in his previous 5 games against them. So they had done a good job against him. But I saw a hungry front seven. I saw an active front seven. I saw a front seven that was playing their responsibilities and roles, not trying to do too much, not trying to cover for the guy next to them. We even saw an interception by Terrell Dodson, right? Trapping that ball between his legs from the front seven. So I thought the front seven did a good job. And then on the back end, Ethan Bonner with the one-handed interception. Congrats to him. And then Rasul Douglas with the interception. So defensively, very, very, very nice work by those guys. Again, when you've got a backup quarterback for the New York Jets in a half-empty stadium, you shut this dude down. You give them no hope. You give their fans no hope. You just smother them, and that's what the Dolphins did. So nice job by Anthony Weaver and his defense.
Yep, they're humming. I mean, let's just say the last 3 games, again, they played kind of, if we're going to be honest about it, and I know I'm going to get slapped for like trying to take something away from the Dolphins. No, I'm just pointing out the facts that they played Washington without Terry McLaurin and without Jaden Daniels. They played the Saints without Alvin Kamara, and they played and yes, I know the Dolphins have injuries. I get it. And then they played the Jets without Garrett Wilson and they didn't have Justin Fields. So that obviously a big difference. No, I kid. With Tyrod Taylor also was off to a really, really poor start, and they wound up with a rookie free agent. And by the way, congratulations to Ethan Bonner. Congratulations to Joe Schad as well. Little inside joke there.
It is.
But the defense has played very well. On Monday night, it's a different challenge against Aaron Rodgers, who had success against them last year. Even in the game in Miami, the Dolphins won in overtime. In the game in New York as well. And for one of the few times this season, made big use of DK Metcalf in that game against Baltimore. But I saw a nugget that Metcalf wound up in the hospital after the game because of some sort of stomach issues and eventually flew back to Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's going to put his availability in jeopardy in any way, shape, or form for the game Monday night. The Steelers running game is in your dad's or your grandfather's Steelers running game, which used to be great for so many years, whether it was Jerome Bettis, Barry Foster, go all the way back to Franco Harris.
Yep.
That's been an issue for the Steelers all season. Jonnu Smith, old buddy, not putting up numbers at all for the Steelers. Maybe they'll instead of feed him a steady diet on Monday night just to, see what they can get out of him. But it's a tougher challenge. The Steelers' run defense, porous the last 2 weeks. But they get after the quarterback, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith on the other side. There's some talent there on that defense. This is the kind of challenge, again, as I said before, which will provide a true barometer for exactly how far along the Dolphins are.
And Poop, in typical Perk fashion, I'm going to bring a little rain on the parade, just a drizzle on the Dolphins parade.
Of course you would.
I'm worried about special teams. And, And I like the new special teams coach, Craig Aukerman. Yeah. But you allow the punt return touchdown. You fall for the fake, the banana in the tailpipe on the fake punt.
That was a great play, though. I love that play with the run and the pitch out.
Okay, but
that was good.
It was good, but the pitch out, it hits the ground and bounces right up to the guy. Mm-hmm. That's very fortunate, but the Dolphins have got to be on that. But in the big picture this year, so you allowed the punt return, the kickoff return touchdown, right? You ran into the punter, you roughed the punter. The field goal kicking has been good, but you allowed this punt return touchdown, you fall for the fake punt. That's a lot of boxes that you're checking through, through 11 games, through 12 games, 13 games, 6 and 7. 13 games. Wow, that's terrible on my part. Right, exactly, 6-7. So, I worry. And look, I will say this, that, I know that as injuries creep up, it affects the special teams, and you're without a guy like Elijah Campbell on Sunday, who, he was battling a ankle injury, I believe, and he might have gone out with something aside from the ankle. But anyway, I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm trying to put the facts out there. I know that, you don't think about special teams when you have a rash of injuries, but it often affects special teams because your backups now have to play more snaps. Your backups, who are probably core special teams guy, Now they have to play more snaps from scrimmage, and so you have to promote somebody who isn't experienced, and he goes to special teams. But that happens all around the league. I'm explaining that it's not an excuse. That happens all around the league. Might have been the case for the Jets. I don't know, but I'm a little bit concerned about special teams.
Does it raise to the level of queasy?
No, I'm not queasy yet. I'm not. We will not harken back to Joe Philbin yet. I'm just concerned.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. Isaiah Williams was a dude. I mean, he's been playing really, really well. In fact, which is why I asked Craig Ackerman about the challenge of facing Isaiah last week. And of course, this week he's probably going to give me a hard time for jinxing him or whatever. I look at the Steelers stats. Their longest punt return all year is 17 yards. Their longest kickoff return all year is 37 yards. So not been particularly impressive. Of course, I say that now. This is the game they're going to break one, but that's not been the case. The only thing is if the Dolphins, if it comes down to a late field goal, by the way, Riley Patterson, again, hat tip, continues to do a great job. If it's the Steelers lining up for a game-winning field at the end of the game, good luck counting on a miss because Chris Boswell is pretty damn good, even though he's got 3 misses this year, but that dude's good.
Yeah. What was the situation? Was it the end of the half last game where McDaniel didn't want to kick off and leave so much, didn't want to kick or go for the touchdown, and he didn't want to leave that much time on the clock, right?
Right.
So I worry about where his confidence is in special teams also. Wasn't there another situation recently?
There was confidence in Tua. There was a lack of confidence in Tua, if anything.
It wasn't there another situation where they didn't want to leave too much time on the clock, or they didn't want to? Oh, Madrid, right? The 4th and 1, where they didn't want to kick the field goal because they thought there was enough time on the clock for Washington to come down and kick the game-winning field goal, right? That they didn't. Wasn't that the situation? It was 13-13, right? They go for it on 4th and 1 instead of kicking to go up 16-13 because they thought Washington could come down and get in field goal range and send it into overtime or score. There was enough time. But if you trust your kickoff coverage team, that shouldn't be an issue, right? That or your defense. But we did see the Jets have kickoff returns of 33 and 38 yards. So I'm just not sending up a red flag, just putting a little, maybe a purple flag. What's the next color of concern? Yellow caution flag. That would be it. A yellow caution flag.
Okay. I don't see. I went into the Jets game thinking Dolphins should win. A little bit worried about the special teams. I'm not necessarily worried about the Steelers special teams per se. I would worry about the Steelers have given up more than 200 yards rushing each of the past 2 games. Mike Tomlin's a defensive coach at heart. The Dolphins going to continue. Then the Dolphins have rushed for 230 something yards against the Jets. Immediately you look at those 2 things. Okay, well, wow, the Dolphins are going to rush for 225 yards against the Steelers, and yet I have I'm queasy about this. That don't think it's going to be that simple. And if the Dolphins have to rely on the passing game, then I worry a little bit about those Steelers pass rushers. But let's say I feel a lot more confident about the Dolphins' chances of pulling out a win at Acrisure Stadium than I did, say, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I miss Heinz Field, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Three Rivers Stadium.
But I'm also going to pick the Dolphins to win. I already have picked the Dolphins to win, actually. So we have to turn in our predictions on Monday. Okay. So I think I took 24-20 Dolphins, but I know, and them scoring 24 at Pittsburgh might be a challenge, but Monday, I'm going to take 24-20.
Full week before the game. That's a little premature evaluation to me, but I don't know.
And we're like Vegas, baby. As those Sun Sentinel picks come out right after the game is over, baby. We're like Vegas. We're not as good as Vegas, but we're like Vegas.
Speaking of Vegas, that game yesterday between the Broncos. Where the line was Denver -7.5. The over/under was 40 and a half, whatever, and it was 24-14. The Raiders there's a Dolphin connection there. The Raiders in their waning seconds, the clock is ticking down, complete a pass in the middle of the field, the clock's going to run out. Brandon Jones puts his hand on the Raiders receiver, kind of delays him getting up, to spike the ball for another play. The officials throw a flag for delay of game on former Dolphin third-round pick Brandon Jones.
Yep.
The Raiders, with 5 seconds left at the snap, bring out their field goal team, kicks a field goal. If it went from under to over, and from Broncos covering, Raiders covering on that kick on the last play of the game because there's no time left. So anyway.
Yeah, that's look, if we find out anybody in that organization knows Terry Rozier or Damon Jones, it's going to be big trouble, right?
Yeah.
Or Chauncey Billups. Yeah.
With the Dolphins, there were no such issues. I'm pretty sure they went. I don't even know what the numbers were. I know the Dolphins covered very easily because another 24-point win. I would imagine they went over the total anyway. It doesn't matter. What matters, the Dolphins have made it 4 in a row.
Yes.
As they do the same thing they did in 2021, they did in 2024, and there they go again, starting off really, really crappy after 8 or 9 games and then making a run. Yeah. Hopefully this one is different, that it ends with a playoff spot as opposed to those two, which came up short. We shall see. That's going to wrap it up. He is Chris Perkins from the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Is your schedule staying the same with the Dolphins deep dive with Perk because of the Monday night game?
Or... It is. Me and David Furones at noon tomorrow, so we will have a Furones bonus.
There you go. That's a great name. I would do the poop scoop over here, but that's
hey, that's all. Both of those are better than Everybody Hates Chris. So
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a very good point. As always, please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Check out the website, MiamiDolphinsOnTheSide.com. Content all for free. Check out my man Perk's content at sunsentinel.com. Listen to the podcast if you prefer the audio version everywhere you get your audio podcast. And with all this babbling, that's enough babbling. We're going to wrap it up. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening.